celestial beings and how fast they can travel through the universe. This is controversial and against our current understanding of science, so let's go. The worlds teem with angels and men and other highly personal beings, but they are handicapped by time and space. The limit of velocity for most non-Seraphim beings is 186,280 miles of your world per second of your time. The midway creatures and certain others can often do attain double velocity of 372,560 miles per second, while the Seraphim and others can traverse space at triple velocity, about 558,840 miles per second. There are, however, no transit or messenger personalities who function between the instantaneous velocities of the gravity traversers and the comparatively slow speeds of the Seraphim, except solitary messengers. Their velocity in traversing space is variable, depending on a great variety of interfering influences. But the record shows that on the journey to fulfill this mission, my associate messenger proceeded at the rate of, I don't know what that is, dude, 841-621-642-000 of your miles per second of your time.
It's like 4.5 million times the speed of light. That's solitary messenger speed.
God.
That's it?
That's it.
That's it.
Greetings, fellow humans. Welcome back to the Legacy FHP YouTube channel, the planetary headquarters for all of your celestial information. Today we are doing another episode of the Forbidden Scrolls, and we are reading the Keys of Enoch, a very cryptic, deep PhD level spiritual scientific text. It can get a little hard to digest sometimes, so just try to keep up. But we're going to do our best to do it, and hopefully you can take this journey with us. You know who I am, Dedrick Baker, XDBakerWise on Instagram. I am with my brethren, like always, Gary Lee Haskins. Go follow him on his YouTube channel. Go watch all them videos, like him. My brother Tay Chilla, I like to call him Tay Killer, but go follow him. All of his socials will be in the description at the bottom as well. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button so you can keep up to date with all of our celestial broadcasts. As you can see, I am swagged out at the moment. I'm swagged out in that Urantia gear. You know, I love the Urantia book, got the Urantia polo. You can go get all this stuff if you want to at cosmiccreations.biz. The link for that will be in the description as well. So, without all the plugs, I guess let's dive into it. You guys got anything to say about this? Do you want to warn the audience before we jump in?
You can strap on your seatbelts.
Yeah, seriously.
This is dense.
And to preface, if you remember the name Enoch, it comes up in the Bible. It's recorded in Genesis, and it says that Enoch, does it say he disappeared in a chariot of fire, or was that Elijah? They both disappeared in a similar way, but Enoch is known for not having died, just like disappearing in some grandiose manner that certainly left a mental impression on whoever recorded that story. And it's not really explained what that process was, what exactly that meant. The Bible does not explain that because likely no one at the time, or few people at the time, understood what really happened. And you also have the Book of Enoch, which is a fascinating text, which specifically I think people read it and they find it interesting that in the Book of Enoch, you get this ancient tale of the rebellious angels teaching human beings all sorts of arts of warfare, magic, and sort of instigating the civilizations in a pretty negative way. And so that's sort of in there, and it's fascinating. It talks about the Nephilim. So that's a bit of the history of Enoch. This book is called The Keys of Enoch. So this comes from that same Enoch who is ascended not longer on planetary Earth as a human. And J.J. Hurtak, the author, apparently came into contact with this being in a visionary, psychic, out-of-body state, however you want to call it. And that's how this book was brought through. So that's a crazy lineage. It's an epic story. And that's why we're reading this today. And we'll dive in.
Yeah, and going back to what you said about the biblical reference, I love this verse in the Bible. I read it when I was young and I didn't really understand it. I was like, that's so cryptic. From Genesis 5:23, it says, altogether, Enoch lived a total of 365 years. Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. That's what it says in the Bible. So he lived for 365 years, and then he was not, and walked with God. So he just ascended. The Urantia Book would say, let's see, who was Enoch? Okay, so this is from paper 45, Local System Administrative Headquarters. Oh, it's perfect. Okay, perfect. So it says there are 25 ex-mortals from our planet who have been selected for a council. From the Bible, it's referenced to as a council of 4 and 20, 24 counselors that John saw in Revelation. These ex-Urantia mortals are on a board or in a group that calls the shots for the rest of the evolutionary planets that are in rebellion. This council, like I said, it's hard to, I don't want to go too deep into the organization, but it's one of the highest councils for mortals in our sector of the universe. So if any type of mental, physical, or spiritual dispute happens on a rebellion planet, because there's 37 other rebellion planets, our council of 4 and 20 is in charge of making the decisions on what to do with that specific emergency situation. Because we have the gnarliest planet of rebellion, therefore we have like the hardest creatures that are most wise in these experiences, so that we can make the best decisions for other planets. We'll put it like this: the 4 and 20 counselors. At the center of the 7 angelic residential circles on Jerusalem is located the headquarters of Urantia Advisory Council, 4 and 20 counselors. John the Revelatory called them the 4 and 20 elders. This is from the Bible. And round about the throne were 4 and 20 seats, and upon these seats I saw 4 and 20 elders sitting, clothed in white raiment. Okay. These 4 and 20 counselors are Christ Michael's personal agents on Jerusalem. They have authority to represent the Master Son in all matters concerning the roll calls of Satania, and in many other phases of the scheme of mortal ascension in the isolated worlds of the system. They are usually designated agents for executing special requests of Gabriel and the unusual mandates of Michael. These 24 counselors have been recruited from the 8 Urantia races. The last of this group were assembled at the time of the resurrection roll call of Michael, 1900 years ago. This Urantia Advisory Council is made up of the following members. It names 1 through 16 seats. 17 through 24 are still vacant. They're open for more mortals, so they haven't filled up the council yet. So there's still 17 through 24. That many seats are open, so one of us could die and be on that council. What's funny is seat number 11 is taken up by Enoch. Enoch himself is on the council of 4 and 20, and they have a lot of autonomy and authority to execute their own mandates in the universe. So they have authority to almost bring us this book if they wanted to. Enoch could do that. So it says 11, Enoch. He's the first of the mortals of Urantia to fuse with the thought adjuster during the mortal life in the flesh. So that's from the Urantia book, and we just read Genesis. Enoch lived for 365 years, and then he walked with God, or he was not. God took him. That's what happened. He was the first person on Urantia to fuse with his thought adjuster. Got onto the Council of 4 and 20, which we know is a high commission that has a lot of authority, a lot of autonomy, the ability to create their own missions and go achieve them with no oversight. They can do it on their own. Is it possible that, Enoch did reveal himself to a person named J.J. Hertak and give us this information? That's the connection I'm trying to make.
It's possible.
It's possible. So that's how I'm thinking about it going into it for a little bit of the preface. Anybody else got anything to say?
I'm ready to go.
Enoch. All right. Anybody want to start?
Yeah, I can kick it.
Cool.
Key 204. The keys to the Sons of Light are given in the transmission of living energy codes within the people of God. They are sent from living universe to living universe to reveal the codes of light to the orders of evolving species within cellular time so that the coded nucleic membrane may attach to the larger membrane of the universes. The
Pretty
Sons
deep right
of...
there.
Yeah,
That
this
intro, it's deep.
sort of heart in the hole kind of deal. Reconnecting.
Yeah, it's cool
The
how they're
Sons...
talking about the evolving species within cellular time. Cellular division is what kind of keeps us here, that dimension of just keep mitosis, meiosis, cells dividing. And that has coded nucleic membranes. But we have to get those codes to attach to the higher membrane of the universes, the Urantia worlds, the higher spiritual dimensions. It's pretty cool. And the Sons of Light are trying to help us do that while we're stuck in the coded nucleic dimension.
The Sons of Light project the geometries of creation into fourth dimensional space in order to code spiritual mankind into the fifth dimension, the next larger membrane of universes. The revealing of the codes of light extend through telethought communication, which is produced by the modulation of gravitational waves. The gravitational waves carry the codings of light intelligence from the larger membrane of universes. You, as a believer, can receive modulated gravitational wave factors that are sent from a higher evolutionary master intelligence of light. This transmission of knowledge contains codes of light that give you the realization of God's purpose and recognition of where we are in relation to the larger evolving universe. This knowledge comes both as a light force and as a love force. This is expressed through God's infinite mind as Eya Asher Eya, I am that I am, which gives teaching and understanding to our creation through the hierarchy for the remaking of our evolutionary species within cellular time. We exist only within our consciousness time cell until that point where we can work directly with the hierarchy commissioned by the Father to recapitulate the program of Alpha and Omega. Our time and space are the dimensions of time cell consciousness ordered by the greater star seed image. The image is given by the higher intelligence as the configuration for connecting the spatial vibrations of the first chakra to the 7th, 8th, and 9th chakras of the higher evolutionary light. The movement towards energy embodiment of the 5th dimension brings with a mutual programming created by projected energy codes, creating an 8th and 9th chakra vibratory level. When this takes place, the 1st and 2nd chakra influences dominating organic three-dimensionality are changed. The human system acquires additional 8th and 9th chakra energy fields which are necessary to receive and send geometries of the living light. A series of biomagnetic energy resonances are balanced with the 8th and 9th chakra levels so as to open the human vibratory field through a complete energy conversion. Through gravitational flux lines, the higher intelligence connects the 1st and the 8th spatial wave controlling the magnetic lines of force, the 7th spatial wave controlling the electrostatic lines of force, and the 9th spatial wave controlling the gravitational lines of force so we can be sufficiently altered into any of the 9 dimensions in our local universe. Here, the energy plurality produces a unique effect for travel through metagalactic ordering where gravity is uniquely overcome. From this light encoding, the physical body and the overself body become one, so that the physical form can be seen simultaneously in 2 or more locations. The words larger membrane of universes are set off by special markings which represent a key within a key. This emphasizes that the larger membrane exists in other universes, many of which are far beyond us in their evolutionary makeup. The larger membrane shows us that we function as the finger cells and toe cells of the higher mind, processing knowledge as the brotherhoods pulsate their wisdom into us.
That's wild. We're not even the fingers or the toes. We're the finger cells.
And the toe cells. Right. We must understand how the larger life force of local universes collectively forms both part of the eternal mind and part of our galactic network, which issues forth biological programs bringing Alpha and Omega together. When the Alpha-Omega cycle is completed, the magnetic fields shift, causing genetic information to be adapted to a new biotechnology of light. The magnetic fields create neutral zones for the interfacing of high-speed molecules, which control growth and development in all living things. I want to stop for a second here because we have a couple concepts. Like, one thing, this Alpha and Omega thing. Obviously, if you're from Abrahamic religion, I know at least in Christianity they talk about God being the Alpha and Omega. And but if we abstract it a little bit, we're talking about like the cycles of life, beginning to end, Alpha to Omega. And so every cycle of life, every stage of life has a beginning and an end. You know, you as a baby forming in the womb has a start of inception to an end of the womb period, which, you know, is after you're born. Once you get out and get fighting in Earth, and so that's the first cycle. And you know, there's all these cycles. You know, adolescence is a big one. You know, adulthood, moving out of your parents' home, all that stuff. So the Keys talk a lot about these going through different consciousness time zones. It talked about how there's chakras, other chakras opening up. What does that mean? I normally think of chakras as the mind potentials that we can express, and we've related before that the 7 chakra system, the 7 main chakras of the Eastern system, seem to attune to the 7 adjutant mind spirits that the Urantia Book talks about, that operate on creature levels of mind. And we're operating at the 7th, I guess, and that allows us to know and understand God, which gives us the capacity for that higher consciousness. And so this is saying that there's even more circuits that are open up to us. So that's what all those technical terms are getting to. And I just wanted to stop and explain some of that because a lot of those terms are thrown around in the spiritual community like willy-nilly, like it's a catchphrase. And you want to relate the concepts and not just get caught in the idea of, chakra or XYZ. So
yeah,
all right.
It was kind of let's see. Let's see if we can find it. There is another cool quote from the Urantia Book that talks about how Seraphim can overcome physical gravity limitations and actually travel a lot faster than what our science. Remember, there's like a limit to how fast you can travel in our physical universe according to our material science, but the Urantia Book talks about a Seraphim transportation system and how they're able to compound that speed by 3 times because they're able to manipulate mind, body, spirit factors. I'm not going to pull the quote right now. Maybe I'll look for it when you're reading and I can pull it back up. But that's interesting. It talks about being able to overcome physical mass, velocity, speed limitations through the manipulation of all 3 mind, body, spirit factors, not just the physical factor like we do on Earth, and the shape and the aerodynamics of things. And I relate that to what it's talking about, those 3 extra chakras, and how you're talking about the 7 chakras, how they relate to the adjutant mind spirits. Sorry guys, if I'm not going to explain what they are in this episode. I hope you guys listen to the other episodes where we dive deep into it and explain exactly what they are. But 7 adjutant mind spirits, how it kind of correlates to the 7 chakras, which that's what I believe. But the Urantia Book doesn't talk about the levels above that very much. I don't think they're allowed to due to their mandates, but they imply that once you hit that 7th adjutant mind spirit of wisdom, there is another set after that. Like you hit like cosmic spiritual mind, and there's probably stages above that. Probably learn how to gain those chakras in the mansion worlds. You could probably do it down here too as well. I like to think of them as like different mental bodies. I know that kind of sounds weird because I guess different mental bodies, different ways to perceive the universe through a different almost mental lens or whatever. And right now we're experiencing this reality through this 3rd dimensional lens consisting of these 7 different chakras. And then once we add those higher dimensional lenses, such as looking at reality through a trisophic level, using the trisophic method for everything, you start to impinge upon the Urantia mind. And in the midway papers for the Urantia book, the midwayers talk about us having a higher mind than just our material mind, but the Urantia mind, or they call it the mid mind. And then you gain that fully spiritual mind. So it's like you add another chakra to your chakras. And just by being able to function in those spheres, you're able to bypass physical gravity. Because spiritual gravity is anti-gravity, as in the spiritual gravity pulls you back to the center of the universe, the Father, while physical gravity keeps you kind of trapped or bound here to the outskirts of the disk of the cone, the universal, the cosmic disk. Like when you spin something over your head, that centripetal force that goes out, and then there's a centrifugal force that pushes in, and that centripetal force that pulls out is what our physical gravity is. And then there's spiritual gravity that is the centrifugal that pulls us back into the center. Once you start functioning in these cosmic mind spheres, spiritual mind, Urantia mind spheres, you start getting propelled in reality. Instead of being lazy and just stuck on the couch and stuck in your bed, you're under the effects of physical gravity. You don't want to do anything because it's too hard. You're not going to move unless you're getting paid. You're not going to move unless you're getting pushed, those kind of low thoughts. You're under the effects of physical gravity, and you're only going to move because of low thoughts. And then you start seeing the glimpses of the true reality, of the cosmic reality that the Keys of Enoch and the Urantia Book shows you. You get a glimpse into that eternal timescape, the myriad of intelligence, the Technicolor dreamscape, and you start wanting to go after that. That is the spiritual gravity taking a hold of your personality and propelling you through time and space. So now you have anti-gravitic properties. You are less under the effects of physical gravity. And I like that's how they put it here at the end of number 7. Here, the energy plurality produces a unique effect for travel through metagalactic ordering where gravity is uniquely overcome. So that's the key to getting past those gravity zones, those dense gravity zones. We're in a dense gravity zone at the moment. Earth is, and we're all like trapped under the influence. But you can cut through it with these high spiritual concepts. There is where gravity is uniquely overcome. That's how I make that connection. And good job stopping there because, yeah.
All right. 11. We are going into a different membrane program at this time. This new program requires that the genetics of man function on a higher wavelength of light. In order to accomplish this, the Brotherhood of Light is accelerating the entire system of human biorhythms to enter a less dense spectrum of matter energy. The Brotherhood of Light is changing the electromagnetic density so that the electrification of matter prepares man for the doming of his overself body. We are going directly into
I don't know if it's doming.
Doming. Yeah, I'm not sure that I only heard that word like a couple times. To let me dom my coat. I think it's a bit of an old school.
Oh, okay.
Term.
Maybe it's a real one. Yeah, I don't fucking know then.
Like the dom is like to put on.
Oh. Look at you go, Mr. Vocab.
We are going directly into a new star threshold with a new magnetic vibration, which is changing the whole nuclear membrane of this planet. New magnetic fields penetrate the tRNA molecules, varying the intensity of the field and causing the hydrogen atoms to produce more units as they relate to the geometric bonding of the DNA pentagon. Realizing this, that the universe around us is gauged by many wave factors of electromagnetism, we can realize how man, as an electromagnetic computer, is controlled by a still larger gravitational time grid, which is different from our spectrum.
Oh, that paragraph sounds like Terrence Howard. What does he have? The wave factors, the
Wave conjugation.
Wave conjugations.
Yeah, I haven't even looked that up yet. I don't know what that is.
This is actually kind of what he's talking about. Wave conjugations. These electromagnetic waves will seep into our tRNAs and start creating more hydrogen to change the harmonics. And it's all based off wave conjugation, which is kind of right.
Wait, I guess conjugation is an interaction between two waves and their properties.
Exactly.
So, okay.
No, that's exactly what he's talking about now. Before we go on real quick, I found the quote I was looking for before, reverting back to my analysis of that gravity statement. It's talking about the solitary messengers and other different types of celestial beings and how fast they can travel through the universe. This is controversial and against our current understanding of science, so let's go. The universe is well supplied with spirits who utilize gravity for purposes of transit. They can go anywhere, anytime. Instanter. But they are not persons. Certain other gravity traversers are personal beings, such as gravity messengers and transcendental recorders. But they are not available to the super and local universe administrators. The worlds teem with angels and men and other highly personal beings, but they are handicapped by time and space. The limit of velocity for most non-enseraphimed beings is 186,280 miles of your world per second of your time. I think that's the limit, right? That's our scientific limit. The midway creatures and certain others can often do attain double velocity of 372,560 miles per second. Per second, Jesus Christ. While the seraphimed and others can traverse space at triple velocity, about 558,840 miles per second. There are, however, no transit or messenger personalities who function between the instantaneous velocities of the gravity traversers and the comparatively slow speeds of the seraphim, except solitary messengers. So that's pretty crazy, right? Well, so solitary messengers can travel instantaneously. That's insane. There are beings who can travel instantaneously.
Mm-hmm. And I think
that's crazy.
Solitary messenger. I think we could technically become one of those. Yeah, they're part of the finaliters or something, like up in that level. Yeah. You could become a solitary messenger and gain the secrets of instantaneous travel in the universe.
Oh my god, dude! It says right here. Solitary messengers are therefore generally used for dispatch and service in those situations where personality is essential to the achievement of the assignment, and where it is desired to avoid the loss of time which would be occasioned by the sending of any other readily available type of personal messenger. They are the only definitely personalized beings who can synchronize with the combined universal currents of the grand universe. Their velocity in traversing space is variable, depending on a great variety of interfering influences. But the record shows that on the journey to fulfill this mission, my associate messenger proceeded at the rate of, I don't know what that is, dude, 841,621,642,000 of your miles per second of your time. They're like billions. It's 800
miles
billion
per second.
Miles per second.
Yeah, we'd have to. Well, I can calculate. Say that number again.
841,621.
841,621. Wait, 841,621.
642,000. So that's 841,621,642,000. No.
Okay.
Maybe trillion.
What's the miles per second?
Miles per second, yeah.
Okay. Miles per second to, what do we want it in miles per, how much light speed that is?
Yeah. And yeah, what's light speed? Whatever.
I'll be right back, guys.
For a second. How fast compared to light speed?
Well, I walked into an interesting conversation.
God,
What?
they're so loud.
Oh my god. So
What are you guys on right now?
We're in the Keys of Enoch and we're pulling quotes from the Urantia Book right now.
Okay, cool. Doing some comparative
Yeah.
comparison.
okay. So ChatGPT's quick calculation here, you just divide that miles per second divided by 186,282 miles per second.
Remember, that's the first number they gave us. The limit for
that's
velocity
the
for
first number
non-seraphim beams is 186,280 miles.
That's miles per second. What's the light speed? It says this
That is
large
light.
value, the 841. It's like 4.5 million times the speed of light. That's the solitary messenger speed.
Oh my god! You hear that calculation, Gary?
Nope.
How fast?
Four and a
was
half solitary messenger, about 4.5 million times the speed of light.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
It's interesting that it actually can be quantified, though. You know,
Yeah.
because we say it's instantaneous, but it's actually technically it's
Right?
not.
Technically, it's not exactly, and they quantify it, and they use
Like, can technically anything be instantaneous? Even though to us it would be.
no in
It's
the
It
first
would be
in the first
instantaneous.
paragraph. In the first paragraph, it says it's impossible unless you're using the reflectivity mechanism. So there is a mechanism in the universe called reflectivity, and it makes it convenient. So I don't have to travel to your planet. It's like a hologram. I can just reflect my image to your planet, and you see my image in like a chamber. And it's called reflectivity. It's like the Star Wars hologram, but they say that's instantaneous.
But you can't. If you just reflect a hologram, you don't have as much free will in that environment because
No.
you're like a hologram there. You can like talk to people, but you can't like do stuff.
Can't prevent a murder or something.
Right, yeah. Okay, what with that calculation you just did, Taylor? What is? How would you quantify this, if possible? A transport seraphim travels at about 350,000 miles per second. At least that's what I found from a quick search. I'm not sure how accurate that is, but
No, the part we just read says Seraphim and others traverse space at triple velocity, 558,840 miles per second.
Oh, okay. It's interesting to consider how that's still slower than a solitary messenger, even though it's like incomprehensibly fast. But like, even at that speed, if you were to take the entire scale of, the 7 super universes to get from one super universe to another, it would still take
some time.
a tremendous amount of time.
That's crazy. That's wild to think about. Yeah.
Hmm.
Be
So I
there
guess
4
that's
days, traveling 41
all
million
very-
times light speed.
Yeah.
You know, these beings look at us and laugh like, "Oh, they're trying to go to Mars in rockets."
Yeah.
How juvenile!
They're lighting big vats of gas on fire.
It must look so funny to these beings that
So
can travel
primitive.
instantaneously.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in these these rockets that look like giant penises.
Yeah,
and
dude.
just throwing them into the sky.
Literally just big buckets of gas, and we just light the bottom up.
Yeah,
Like, here we go.
Yeah.
it's so primitive when you think about it like that.
Big bucket of gas. Strap me to the front of it. But yeah,
But it's the best we got right now.
Hey, it's getting us there.
Yeah.
Hate all you want, assholes. We're up there. So Magma, we're in the Keys of Enoch right now. We're about to finish this key. Actually, it's a short one. We did a short one on purpose, just in case we can knock out another short one too. But
Yeah. This is a pretty cool book. I see why you guys obsess over it. Just looking at the illustrations, it's some pretty cool stuff.
well, the reason we were talking about this before you came in, real quick, it's talking about. Tachila just read this. A series of biomagnetic energy resonances are balanced with the 8th and 9th chakra levels, so as to open the human vibratory field through a complete energy conversion. Through gravitational flux lines, the higher intelligence connects the 1st and 8th spatial wave, controlling the magnetic lines of force, the 7th spatial wave controlling the electrostatic lines of force, and the 9th spatial wave controlling the gravitational lines of force, so we can be sufficiently altered into any of the 9 dimensions in our local universe. Here, the energy plurality produces a unique effect for travel through the metagalactic ordering, where gravity is uniquely overcome. So it's saying there's 8 like higher chakras, 7th, 8th, and 9th chakras, and we obviously equate the 7 adjutant mind spirits to the chakras in this book. And those are different like energy circuits within the personality. And then the Urantia book implies that there's even more circuits beyond our 7 adjutant mind spirits. They refer to the cosmic mind. In the Midway papers, remember they call it the Urantia mind. There's a material mind and the Urantia mind, or the mid mind, and they talk about the spiritual mind.
Oh.
So there's higher chakra levels. And they're saying that in this, if you're talking about the keys, you're talking about the 7th, 8th, and 9th opening up electrostatic, magnetic, and gravitational lines of force. And that's the way that the adjuster can kind of link into our personality through those adjutant mind spirit lines of force. And then the last part, it says gravity is uniquely overcome so that you can travel at higher speeds. And that's why we attached it back to that Urantia quote talking about how these beings can travel the universe at higher speeds. They can overcome physical gravity because they're tapping into that spiritual paradise gravity that shoots you past physical gravity. And maybe that has to do with maybe just by functioning in the higher cosmic mind circuits, spiritual mind, or the Urantia mind circuits, you have access to bypass physical gravity because those are literally anti-gravitic minds. Anti-gravitic vehicles that we can tap into. And maybe that's what the solitary messengers and the seraphim are tapping into when they're able to bypass gravity.
Yeah.
So now...
Okay, that makes sense, because I know there's stuff like... Yeah, thank you for that, because I know that there's... The Urantia book just gives us, as much as it gives us, it's like the bare minimum for us to wrap our minds around cosmic phenomenon of what's really going on out there. But, there's a lot... They still won't give us because it's not relevant to us yet. We can't directly use it yet.
For it in the 30s,
yeah. It's interesting to consider, though, a point about the solitary messengers. I remember hearing in a paper recently that it was part 2. They were talking about how solitary messengers don't really have a form. They're one of the few beings that don't really have a form. They're almost like points of consciousness somehow.
That's so sick.
And like you can detect their presence, but they're almost every being in the Urantia book has some kind of form. Even if it's not what we expect, they have something that they identify with. But for a solitary messenger to achieve the speeds that it has, basically a point of consciousness, and even still, it has to traverse from one point to another. It doesn't just teleport. Really interesting to consider. But so you're on 201 right now, right?
204.
204. Okay, this illustration is freaking wild. It's like a cytoplasm and nucleus and all that.
Oh, right above it?
With the cell.
Oh, yeah. I just saw that. Isn't that crazy? You guys see the illustration right above?
That's insane.
Oh, no. This is the illustration for this chapter. You're right.
That's like...
Yeah,
I want that as a poster.
And look, it almost talks like all the humanoid types are on the right side. You follow the right part of the circle. Then down at the bottom, you look at the left side and you see the more non-humanoid types. The grotesque.
Oh, you're right. You got insect looking.
Yeah.
Dude.
It's Ganesh.
Like a fetus looking thing.
Yeah, sure.
Pretty sure that's Babaji top left.
Okay, I can see that. Confucius. Lao Tzu.
It's like a pharaoh.
We got the Egypt pharaoh, yeah.
Lao Tzu, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Buddha.
Chinese.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's
fascinating.
Dope. But it's good. These illustrations are amazing, and it's in color too. If you have the actual book, it's in color. It looks amazing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. This PDF's in black and white. But all right, moving on. So that's what it's trying to say. That's a great picture to depict what I'm feeling. Honestly, like those electromagnetic fields that seep into the little cracks and crevices of your DNA and tRNA, and starts making them replicate upon different patterns because of the wave conjugations. Shout out to Terrence Howard. All right, you want to keep going, I guess, or should I pick up? You've been reading for a minute.
Yeah, you can pick up. I think we got to read 15, so start at 15. I got through 14.
Okay. New magnetic fields penetrate the tRNA molecule, varying the intensity of the field and causing hydrogen atoms to produce more units as they relate to the geometric bonding of the DNA pentagon. Realizing then that the universe around us is gauged by many wave factors of electromagnetism, we can realize how man, as an electromagnetic computer, is controlled by a still larger gravitational time grid, which is different from our spectrum. We, as an Earth species, have been using the wrong attitude, the wrong science, the wrong wavelength of measurement in trying to penetrate gamma pulsations and other energy codes coming into our spectrum from other thresholds. Examples: Arcturus, M42, 3C263, 3C273. Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts about those. Tau Ceti and Betelgeuse. Those are all names of stars. Like, that's the names of stars.
What are your thoughts on 3C273?
Exactly. Yeah, that's how I leave my conversations. So what about the gamma pulsation from 3C273? What about those? We have been using the wrong measurements with hydrogen, formaldehyde, and ammonia bands to try to understand why these signals should be coming from distant radio stars like Cygnus X formations and quasi-stellar formations in our larger universe. Once we can accept the fact that these distant suns of light communicate beyond our known electromagnetic spectrum, we can understand why this key states that the suns of light must imprint upon our spectrum new living energy codes, which will raise the consciousness of our evolving species so that we can be encoded into the larger membrane. However, some of these energy codes are placed on our present electromagnetic spectrum so consciousness interaction can be stimulated. Therefore, when the scientists of Earth retooled their electromagnetic measurements with new energy codes of consciousness, the biocommunication signals from other species can be received and used to help us project into new planetary environments on new biological wavelengths, which will allow us to cross the old electromagnetic spectrum on which our present civilization is based. As in the cycle of the Adam Kadmon, we will communicate back to our parent source of light. This is the tremendous significance of this Zohar key, for it explains that we, as one living subsystem of intelligence, pulsate within larger evolutions of star intelligence. Our local universe is a subsystem to larger membrane force fields of star universes. A directed polarization of light takes the 5s molecules of the human Gematria light body and provides the instructions for the new building blocks of life within the galactic tree of life. The Sons of Light are now giving a master control evolutionary charter to those within our galactic tree of life, who wash their robes, for they will receive authority to go to the trees of life of other galactic worlds. Here, the words of the master control evolutionary charter given in the name of the office of the Christ. It's pretty cool. So, I mean, yeah, that makes sense. I like how he talks about to wash their robes. It's cool. They talk about our body being a garment. So, like, we're qualifying in new bodies. We're on this planet and we're in this physical body. We have to qualify in this dimension. We're going to die and go to the Urantia worlds. We're going to go through a bunch of different bodies to the Urantia worlds. And pretty much every dimension is a qualifier. You have to qualify yourself through the body. And I like how they say you have to wash your robes, wash your garments to receive the authority to gain more garments, to go into the higher galactic civilization, other galactic worlds.
Okay, because I was about to say, but before you pause, before this name of the office of Christ quote, I was going to say, all right, D-Bake, what is this saying? Like, for example, as in the cycle of the Adam Kadmon, we will communicate back to our parent source of light. The tremendous significance of this Zohar key. Can you kind of help me wrap my mind around some of those new terms? At least that's new for me. I'm sure maybe y'all are a little more up to speed on what the Adam Kadmon is. Or a Zohar key. Is that what all these keys are? They're Zohar keys? What is that?
Okay, so for the Adam Kadmon, they're just talking to like the Adamic cycle when they knew about like thought adjusters, and I could see like that was like a main normal teaching to the normal beings, you know. The Zohar is a Kabbalistic text. If you've heard of Kabbalah, like the Bible for Kabbalah is the Zohar. and he pulls a lot from the Zohar, and he just uses it more like a artistic terminology. You know, he calls these Zohar keys.
Okay.
So like if a Kabbalist would read this, he'd be like, "Whoa, he's calling these Zohar keys."
Oh, okay. Is it worth reading? Have you kind of delved into it?
I have read it. It's worth reading. I'd like to reread it again because I read it before I found the Urantia book.
Okay.
So,
is it like reading the Old Testament, where it's kind of made for primitive minds, talking about like
it sounds like medieval philosophy. If that makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
It's like medieval philosophy, and they talk about the tree of life and the Kabbalah, and like the Ketcher at the top, and the energies, and the Yetzod, and the Malkut, and the different Sphira. If you know the tree of life, how they all have different names.
Okay, yeah. So maybe if you have someone to kind of help you interpret it, that might be one of those things. Maybe back in the day they had a lot of instructors, and you would go to your temple, and they would kind of instruct you what it means in relation. Because if you read it by yourself, it's probably not going to make too much sense until you get like some context for what these symbols are referring to.
Yeah, and the Zohar, when it talks about the tree of life, those Sphirot, the little circles are called Sphirot. And that's the equivalent of the chakra system in the Buddhist religion. And they're just different energy sectors that you have to work up. If you look up the Kabbalistic tree of life, you know that pattern. You superimpose it over the human being. It shows you where the chakra system is, but it's like their version of the chakras. I would just say a template pattern of where the 7 adjuvant mind spirits kind of link into the body. But,
okay. There's something I noticed here where it talks about a directed polarization of light takes the 5s molecules of the human Matrian light body and provides the instructions for the new building blocks of life in the galactic tree of life. Now, galactic tree of life, is that talking about like basically our place in the cosmos? And I know gematria has to do with like the significance of numbers and relations of numbers, right? Like taking letters and assigning a numeric value to them.
Yeah.
Like summing up a sentence.
Yeah, elsewhere in the book, he gives a big chart of codes that I kind of skim over every time I read it. I try to read it, but it's just like numbers and codes, and for different DNA, RNA, GATC, and how it relates to like this chart for sound and how it relates for a chart for color. And like they take up full pages, and you can like cut out the page and put it on your wall and put all these charts back to back and read it. It's gnarly. I haven't really memorized it. We should do it one time. I haven't really tried, but I think he's referring to that in this 5s molecules. And then he's talking about, referring back to that picture in the beginning, how he's talking about cells divide on a template, and they divide based on a pattern because of our spot in the cosmos, our location in the cosmos. Our gravity dictates the way these cells divide. If we were to move our cell to a different sector of the cosmos with different gravitational laws, they would replicate in a different pattern. And he's talking about those are the higher divine organic patterns that we ascend into, the Urantia forms. So that's the galactic tree of life. All these DNA, RNA, complex ways of integrating and creating new patterns. And that's what we ascend through. So we're like kind of ascending through a soup of mitosis, a soup of DNA replication.
Okay.
And that's the galactic tree of life, the different ways that these cells can manifest under different gravitational conditions.
That's pretty cool. Okay. Well, one more thing I wanted to kind of make a note of is it's bolded right there. Our local universe is a subsystem to a larger membrane force fields of star universes. Mm-hmm. Two larger membrane force fields. That's fascinating to me, especially in the context of that illustration where it shows the innards of a cell, and you got the membrane and all the guts inside of it. Something I would love to get an opportunity to read with you guys coming up is Bill Seidler Jr.'s study of the Master Universe, but that's one of the points he makes. So when they talk about the nuclear Isle of Paradise, you're literally considering a nuclear universe and cytoplasmic universes. And the entire grand universe is a cell with all these organelles performing different functions on the grandest scale.
That's exactly what we were just talking about in the couple of paragraphs above that. It says that, Gary pointed out, that the larger membrane shows us that we function as the finger cells and toe cells of the higher mind, processing knowledge as the brotherhoods pulsate their wisdom into us. He said, doesn't even say we're the fingers or the toes. We're the finger cells and the toe cells. You know, exactly. Yeah, it's one big cell, and we're just like minuscule consciousnesses ascending through the cytoplasm, putting on different garments, qualifying in different bodies. Pretty cool. All right. So, does anybody want to read the charter?
Yeah, I'll take over. We live in an open-ended local universe, which is part of myriad universes which comprise the universal mind. Our local universe has at its center a more developed pattern of astrochemical networks and reprogramming life syntheses known as the higher evolution.
Damn. That's pretty dope. It would be Salpington.
Yes, so.
Where Michael resides. It's
Yeah.
It'd be the center of our local universe.
Headquarters.
Yeah.
When you surrender your personal ego and identity to God, you are able to rise to a space-time overlap, working with your spiritual brothers and sisters through multidimensional space and time. This is essential for the ongoing fulfillment of consciousness, so as to be one with continuity and change within the evolutionary continuum.
So that's strong. That's super strong, dude.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Like you're able to create a space-time overlap. Wow. And we're able to communicate with our brothers and sisters through multidimensional space. So no matter where we are on the planet, if we all just hold these thought patterns in our mind, we transcend time and space. We're together.
Oh.
You know?
Dude,
Yep.
This is talking about the Supreme Being. It's where there's some overlap between your will and my will and his will and her will because we're in God's will.
Exactly.
That is God the Supreme. And that we are the cell of God the Supreme.
Yeah. That's wild.
You know, when you move your arm, your cells are working in unison. So likewise, when we move in unison, we're moving the body up.
Yeah, multidimensional space-time. And this is essential for the ongoing fulfillment of consciousness, so as be one. Hell yeah. That's so fire.
Surrender.
Even across the universe, if we're thinking this thought with other beings across the universe, we're on the same team.
That's the key. Yeah. We got to surrender the personal ego. I feel as though that's the basis of all major belief systems, if you really want to simplify it. Surrender your personal ego and identity to God.
And that's the language of light. Like, even if me and this being have never met and we grew up on the different sides of the universe and we meet, it's just me by myself floating through this dark galactic cloud, and I turn left and I see this other being in this dark galactic cloud. Never seen this personality in my life, but we both display the mental images of God and the Father, and I see his, and instantly we're communicating on the same wavelength, have the same language, because we know these high mental pictures. Even though we're from totally different cultures, totally different planets, that God communication and thought pattern links us together. Pretty tight.
Pretty tight. Pretty simple.
Right.
Invitation to the higher I am identity consciousness of the evolutionary continuum comes by dedicating your physical garment, aka your body, of life for the survival of the species. The activation of this dedication is the next level of attunement with a larger master intelligence.
Amen. I'll get you pumped the fuck up, dude.
Who's the number one example of that? It's Jesus.
Jesus, exactly. Dedicate your physical garment of life for the survival of the species. To the kingdom, build it. Fuck yeah.
Focus the tension between the people of God of our galaxies, I am consciousness with the I am consciousness within the larger membrane of the universes, is necessary for the attunement and resonance with the universal intelligence of Aye Ashari. I am that I am.
Yeah. We were just talking about that. These mental images are really potent. It's making my hair stand up. It's pretty gnarly.
Yeah, man.
We were just talking about that. Focus attention between the people of God and the consciousness of the I am to create attunement and resonance. Like, we were just talking about that wave conjugation. Have you seen the examples that people do with two balls in a pool, and they just hit them up and down over and over again, and you see the waves start to interfere with each other, and they create a standing wave. They start resonating with each other.
You should put a video of that on the screen.
For real, we will. Same with the clocks. And when you put two pendulum clocks on a wall and you do them out of sync, over time they'll link up with each other.
I've actually never seen that.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's a cool scientific.
I saw something like that, like metronomes on a skateboard, and they're all out of sync, and eventually they're rocking back and forth.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like a scientist that figured out this phenomenon. No one's able to understand why. It just kind of like it happens. It's you need that. It's for information to transfer between 2 points. You need to open up that channel of that harmonic vibration. If we do that with our IM, it's gonna harmonically resonate with the primordial IM, and it says that's necessary. It's necessary. It's necessary for our attunement and resonance with the universal intelligence of I am that I am. So if we do that down here on planet Earth, and the I am in the center is doing that, it creates waves that we can't see, but it'll create a wave in between our place in time and its place in time, and everything in between that will be, influenced by that positive vibration, sending love and light. Kind of gnarly.
Individual attunement is both biological synchrony and resonance with self-realization, allowing man as a living biotransducer to serve higher intelligence as part of a light-gathering continuum.
Oh, yeah.
When you have tapped into... Yeah, right? Exactly. We are the transducer, man. That's like... What is the definition of a transducer, actually? That'd be interesting to look up. What is something that transduces?
Magma's gonna know.
Okay, so I'll answer that for you. A transducer is literally like a speaker. An ultrasonic transducer is something like a speaker, but on higher frequencies. So, for example, you can literally an ultrasonic cleaner. Here's kind of a random example. There's a machine you can actually put like blinds into, like window shades. Put it into this bath, and it uses ultrasonic transducers with frequencies to literally just clean off everything off these blinds. There's other examples of it that do that. So that's saying we are biotransducers.
The simple definition is a device that converts energy from one form to another.
Okay, that's what I was figuring. Yeah, like a speaker converts that electric energy into sound waves.
Yeah.
So we get these higher mental pictures that we're literally seeing right now together, and we're pulling them down to Urantia and putting them out in the external reality. We're transmitting.
Yeah. So, from like visual,
energy.
Right? Visual light to what? To something that is like physical.
Physical matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fucking gnarly.
That's. I visualize that, the visualization of that, which was like in a way transducing.
Woo! Yeah. I like sharing the mental pictures with you guys. We're feasting. Remember Jesus said man must not live off bread alone?
Yeah.
Man must live on forbidden scrolls.
Amen.
When you have tapped into the light gathering continuum, you will realize that you have more than just one body. Whoa. In a fully activated state of consciousness, awareness, you can... Oh, okay, sorry. In a fully activated state of consciousness awareness, you can have 5 bodies. These are the electromagnetic... I can't read that. Like, does that say epikinetic?
Yeah, epikinetic.
Yeah.
Epikinetic Eka body, made up of a multitude of bodies of relativity, the Gematrian body of inner light, and the Zohar body of outer light. These bodies collectively make use of divine wisdom. When you truly utilize these bodies, physical limitation is overcome and you will manifest divine energy on the human plane. So that's interesting too, because in the classical yogic system, there's 5 koshas. So that's not a coincidence. It'd be interesting to draw, I'm obviously not going to do it now, we don't have time, but to draw correlations between the yogic explanation of the 5 koshas and these 5 bodies. If a global network of spiritual humanity unites to draw upon these energies and focus them with a unified purpose towards the marriage of a consciousness evolution to a scientific evolution, the world will be one planetary mind that will fuse with another with other planetary worlds and understand how our planetary mind is one of many thinking membranes between evolutionary star systems.
Damn, they're talking about the legacy right there.
It's also a social memory complex that Ra talks about a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that came to my mind too. It's kind of like Law of One, all these beings becoming so advanced, they got a unified mind, but for my interpretation, it's not necessarily a hive mind, like you lose your individuality.
You just work together harmoniously.
Unified cooperation.
Yeah, exactly.
You can access
the Borg.
You can access the intelligence of the whole planet through a sort of local consciousness network. Even though you're still individuals, you're much more connected in your will and your thinking. I actually think that we have a form of this now, in the sense that a lot of times scientific discoveries, like on one side of the world, will like when somebody makes a big breakthrough, that same breakthrough happens in a similar amount of time. Now, you could compare that to just like, oh, well, it's the natural evolutionary path. Like we're studying similar things, like scientific advances get passed on and people are all working on sort of the same breaking edge. But I do think that there is an element of like when Usain Bolt like adds a new world record to like the speed of running, like now somebody else breaks it.
Yeah.
It's almost like it suggests to other people that it's possible, and so somebody else breaks that barrier and makes the same sort of upstep.
Like Tony Hawk with the 900. Straight up. And Rogan talks about this all the time, the scientific experiments where like they have rats in a science lab in America and rats in a science lab in Asia. And they'll give it like a really hard experiment that the rats can't figure out how to get the treat. They just can't figure out. It's too complex, the steps that the humans set up. And then they'll tell the rats the steps in America. They'll show them how to do it when they can't figure out themselves how to get the cheese. And the rats will listen to the humans and be like, okay, we know how to get the cheese now. So when they get it, then all of a sudden the rats in China know how to do it. And they're trying to figure out what the hell's happening here. So yeah, these social memory complexes, but those are just rats. And if we're talking about humans, I believe, we are kind of doing it already. And we're doing it here, like with us, with me, you, all of us talking together like this. If we were to like extrapolate and imagine if we lived together in like a same mansion or something like that, and we're always thinking about this kind of stuff and doing this together, we would have a natural understanding of each other's thoughts, more mind, body, spirit progress would be integrated. Now, if you could extrapolate that on a planetary scale, everybody would be trying to be the best they could be. And you'd wake up in the morning, if somebody had a breakthrough in some mind, body, spirit engineering or something like that, it would be all over the front of the broadcasts. And instantly we'd all know about it on the planet and we'd be capable to comprehend it. Not like down here on Earth, if a scientific advancement comes out on the news, we're too dumb to understand it. We're like, okay, that's cool. On an advanced planet, all the beings would be advanced enough to actually keep carrying the experiments on their own. And then the next day you'd see someone else advance it and that'd get broadcast on the news. So like literally the entire planetary quote unquote hive mind or social memory complex would just be linked in way more harmoniously than we are today. And they would advance so much quicker because they are linked in together. And that from our point of view would be looking at as like an entire planetary social memory complex. And now they're representing that planet in the universe and saying like, look what our planet is achieving. Look what our planet is doing. Now we're all cohesively one unit. And that's what every planet should be. Different like petri dishes of people all linked in together, offering the best they can to the cosmos. It'd be amazing to live on a planet like that. But I mean, hopefully we'll get there.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
The thing is, we're connected whether you like it or not. You know, you're either with the program or you're going against the tide.
Holding it up.
Yeah. Like you got to get with the program. We don't have a choice, really. I mean, we do have a choice, but if you choose wisely, you'll create less inertia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Less entropy.
Yeah, exactly, man. You either with it or you ain't. That's what I like to say.
As the seraphim told me in the night, get with it or get lost.
You're born into a cosmic family, and you know you can't choose your relatives, but kind of got to deal with it.
All right. Our planetary mind will be speeded up, Shouldn't it be sped up?
Yeah, no, that's
Isn't that
weird.
the
I
right-
just noticed that too.
Come on, guys. Come on, Enoch.
He's a PhD
did
linguist
it.
over here too, and he should know. Yeah. But he misspells stuff on purpose sometimes. So now I'm looking at it like, what is that really?
He's playing
Whatever.
mind games with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? He's trying to throw us off. Our planetary mind will be sped up as an electromagnetic computer as we move into an electromagnetic null zone. During this period of the next 30 years, the planetary mind will enter a dimension of time-space beyond conventional time-space and be transfigured by awe of other life forms that make up our many in one universe. Now, when was this written?
73.
So
It's happening.
yeah. Yeah.
Like Y2K, I guess.
Well, just think of like the increase in UAP and UFO interest.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Disclosure.
Mm-hmm. The government trying to
Yeah.
hide it.
They're trying, even though they had a talk on it, which is still perplexing to me. The commission that they had.
Yeah.
Yeah, the congressional hearing. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, it's in the public consciousness now. But I mean, even in the 70s, it at least became a part of sci-fi culture. Being a little more like it's in our minds now that there could be life out there, other
Yeah,
than
I
just
mean,
on our planet.
That's when
Yeah.
Star Wars came out. Just think about it.
Yeah.
And now Star Wars is like its own religion.
Exactly. Yeah. I always notice those synchronicities too. This is like when Star Wars came out and all that shit.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So it's just like throwing in these like hints, putting it into the subconscious. That
Yeah.
there may be other life forms and other ways to see our place in the universe. Well, during the present space-time overlap, there will be the passing of one energy universe within another, as our planetary mind crosses the present electromagnetic density threshold and is raised to the next electromagnetic orbit of the universal mind. At this point, we as sons of man become the sons of light and transplant our consciousness light into other regions of our local universe.
Hey, Mansion Worlds.
Mhm.
That's what's
I
up.
like that though, because in the beginning of the chapter, it's like, what are they even talking about? This is pretty dense. This is complex. And then they get into, look, just surrender your ego, identity to God. That's
They
it.
keep it one way.
Yeah. Like they outline the theory and then they're like, all right, well, how do you go about it? You just surrender. You're part of this larger membrane. Identify with that and less with your individual wants and needs. And you will slowly fuse into the universal will of the Father.
Yeah, it's interesting. When you say that, I'm realizing they're not telling us what not to do. They're just telling us what is.
Mhm.
Like, frankly, like this is how it is. This is what it is. And they don't even address how our like distortions are. But if you focus on like this, how they say it, then those distortions kind of fall away. Jesus did that too. Remember, Jesus never really pointed out your flaws. He would just keep saying the truth until your concepts would fall away.
Okay, so I had a question about what we just went over. When it starts going into the the master control evolutionary charter, what is this like? These characters that appear before each phrase,
Ooh.
is that numeric characters? Is that like
Those
how it
are
counts its own in Hebrew?
so those are the Hebrew fire letters. Those are Hebrew letters.
Fire letters.
Remember did I send you the picture of the Yod that I've been meditating on? That's
Yeah. You sent me that, and it's like
Yeah.
a squiggly line. When you send me that, I'm like, what is this?
it's a fire letter. So they're just Hebrew letters, but he refers to them as fire letters when you meditate on them. And he says that each one, just the shape of it, because your internal color screen is those phosphorus explosions and it has electrons floating around. You can modulate that screen into a certain geometrical pattern, and that will like unlock different codes within your internal consciousness space. And that the Yod is one of the ones you should do before you fall asleep, because it allows the adjuster to fuck with your concepts a little bit better and reorganize them so that you're ready to attack life in a more, efficient manner. It kind of re-harmonizes your mind, body, spirit while you're asleep. The Urantia Book talks about that the thought adjuster reorganizes you through the technique of deep sleep pattern arrangement, something like that. And the Keys of Enoch say, meditate on the Yod, one of the fire letters, and that will help you just, reintegrate when you're asleep. So try it out. All of these letters can be meditated on, supposedly, and for different purposes.
Now, is that the idea that, like, Hebrew was given to the human race? Like, it's actually a cosmic language?
Yeah, I think he's vibing off that it's one of the celestial languages that was given by higher intelligence. It also says
he actually says that in another chapter.
Yeah, he says Sanskrit is one, ancient Chinese is one, Hebrew is one.
Oh, there's a few.
I think Egyptian too.
Egyptian, yeah. Yep,
I was going to say, how does that fit into, like, ancient Sumerian is, like, more ancient than Hebrew, and we know that's, like, at least what survived from the Dalmatian teachings, but I know, like, considering the Prince's Staff and stuff, they, apparently we had these beings, the Anunnaki, that came down and taught us industry and trade and different things, how to not, drink each other's blood, and how to wash our hands, and how to be, less savage with each other. And I know one of those is teaching us mathematics. I'm not sure if they actually gave us characters or if they tried to encourage us to come up with our own, but I think I remember in the Urantia book there was one of those characters on the Prince's Staff who had actually given us, like, some basic alphabet to use.
Right. So one of the Anunnaki, one of the Prince's Staff, I don't know exactly. That's good. We need to talk about that more. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the Hebrew language. Where did it come from? Maybe we should do some study on where it derives from. I have no fucking clue, dude.
There's a fun website. I want to see if it still exists. It does. Omniglot.com. It's a compendium of languages. It's got a bunch of dead languages, and you can just view alphabets, fonts, and all that. It's got fictional languages, all that. It's just an encyclopedia of writing systems. But it'd be kind of cool to explore the similarities between, like, Hebrew and ancient Sumerian or something like that. But so, do you know these fire letters for what is it? This charter, is that sort of like phrase 1, phrase 2, phrase 3, or do these symbols have a different value?
Yeah, that's 1. I recognize the first one. It's Aleph A, and A means 1.
Okay.
And I think the second one is Bet. Yeah, Aleph Bet. That's where you get the alphabet from.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Aleph is the first one for Hebrew. Bet is the second one. It's Aleph Bet, and then the third one I think is Set. Yeah, it's just the Hebrew alphabet, the Aleph Bet, and that's how it is. Yeah, it's Aleph Bet. Set. Yeah, it's just 1, 2, 3 A B C. So it's just listing them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and if you actually have the copy of the Keys of Enoch in the front, it says YHWH, the Yahweh, Yod, Hey, Vod, Hey. And he talks about that being a mantra. And that when you picture the fire letters while you say the mantra sounds, it unlocks, like, spatial dimensions on the inner plane.
Okay, so could I ask you about these keys? Because from what I recall, I remember I got through basically the first part of the Keys of Enoch just listening to it. I was listening to, like, kind of an automated robot voice go through the PDF, and it was real janky. It was reading some of the punctuation and stuff like that, numbers, and it was a little glitchy, so it was kind of hard to listen to. But from my understanding, each chapter is basically a key, and there's, like, a certain number of keys, and each one is meant for someone in the future to read. There's going to be, like, some person who's going to pick this up, and one key is going to speak to you and give you, like, the answer you need to, like, move the human race forward or something like that. That's basically kind of the gist of it?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I guess it's like Enoch and Metatron gave J.J. Hurtak the keys for future science. So, like, what people on the worlds of light and life, or people on the Urantia worlds, the science that they're already practicing, they're trying to give us the keys for those higher celestial sciences so that we can start wiggling that way. So I guess you would say that, yeah, someone in the it's not meant for a specific person, I don't think, but yeah, someone in the future should read this and be like, oh shit, everything I was working on in my entire science lab, and it's the answer right here, then make that final connection and propel us into that Star Trek Galactic Federation type of society.
Yeah, okay. That's kind of what I gathered is like it's meant for different people. So like if a biochemist read this, one of the keys in particular might really speak to them, whereas if a linguist reads it, a different key will really speak to them.
Yeah.
And then, you know, obviously at this current day and age, especially 1970s, like most of the human race isn't ready for a book like this.
No.
Now, maybe because of the legacy, more and more people, just average laymen, will read stuff like this and just kind of wrap your mind around some of the far out concepts. And then maybe, you know, in the year 3000, this is on everyone's bookshelf, along with a handful of like 40 other books that are like just absolute sacred texts or just mind benders, you know?
Yeah, what's funny is Michio Kaku hangs out with JJ Hurtak all the time.
What?
Yep, I'm putting a picture up right here. It's so that people can see.
All the time, or I mean, I remember you gave us that one picture where they were both checking out the alien mummies.
Yeah, and
but like, do you think is there other examples?
There's multiple pictures of them at conventions, and they both give UN discussions at the same time. You know how they both go to the UN and give speeches to the people. So Michio Kaku and Hurtak, they both do that. I want to watch
JJ Hurtak UN speech.
Okay, I kind of want to ask, because I think it's interesting to see a lot of these, like very successful people. I don't necessarily want to say elites, just successful people, kind of coordinating. In what was this book? The G.I. Gurdjieff, The Fourth Way to Consciousness. He has this idea of the inner circles of humanity, where most of mankind, you could imagine, exists in an outer circle, and then it's sort of this idea like everything that rises converges, where as you build success, as you achieve power personality synthesis, you start to meet and coordinate with other people, and you end up in these inner circles of humanity. And there could be like competing inner circles, but basically, eventually, there are like, oh, look at that image we got. Michio Kaku and JJ Hurtak and Desiree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Michio Kaku went on the Rogan podcast talking about how higher intelligence can transport their consciousness via lasers, because lasers can carry biological data, and you can transfer that data to like another planet and then rebuild your body on the other side so that you can transport yourself to the universe very fast. And that concept's directly out of the Keys. And I'm like, damn, he talks about that. That's like right from one of the chapters in the Keys. So
it really makes me think, like, what are some of these people reading that they don't even reveal, even among their peers and stuff, you know, that they don't have an outlet to talk about this stuff.
Yeah, and JJ pops up on the scene. They're like, oh shit, I can talk to this fool about it, you know?
Yeah. And it really makes me wonder, because you start to, as we read kind of sacred texts or just kind of hard-hitting books that are kind of out of the mainstream, most people don't know about it, or books like the Urantia Book that's kind of like a hot potato, you know, it's like you're not sure what to do with it, but it's there and you can't ignore it, you know. As you start to read these, you start to notice similarities and patterns in media, in movies and shows and stuff like that. There was, for example, a cartoon I had seen with my lady, Steven Universe. It's, you know, a kid's cartoon. And totally has some kind of, I'm not sure what the stance is, but it almost has some kind of Lucifer rebellion vibes, because it's this idea you have a corrupt cosmic hierarchy that's ancient. All these beings are thousands of years old. They're here at the dawn of creation. And the good guys are the rebellion that's basically unraveling the cosmic order to build a new one. And I don't want to take such a leap to say it's necessarily sinister or something, literally all I want to say is maybe the artist that worked on it read the Urantia book, or maybe one creator of the series read the Urantia book and got some inspiration. And there's stuff like that, like Adventure Time. You got Pendleton Ward. He did Midnight Gospel. He's throwing in all this like various occult references, stuff from Theosophy or whatever. So it's interesting, like the hidden world of ideas that like secret societies exchange, that the average person doesn't really have access to. But we here have our own like open intelligence agency where we're able to delve through all this and share it with each other.
Yeah, we do now. We have access to it now, but for the large majority of human development, it was all within secret societies and these very small groups that kept it just to themselves, and you had to be initiated, you know? Like you had to be almost accepted into the group in order to be bestowed this information. And if you weren't, then there was no way for you to access it. But now we have the internet. This is all out in the open.
Yeah.
It's a miracle.
Yeah.
Give up your firstborn just to get the secrets and shit.
Yeah, right? Stuff like that.
Up until recently, too. Up until like the 80s. Pretty much.
Before the internet, man. Before the internet, shit was sketchy, man. Secret groups could do whatever they want in total secrecy, and no one knew.
Honestly, man, before the internet was the Dark Ages.
It was the Dark Ages, straight up. The Dark Ages. You could do shit behind closed doors, and no one would know.
Okay. Based on what we just read here, he talks about from the 70s, over the next 30 years, something's going to happen that's going to kind of open up mankind to kind of the cosmic arena. What if the internet is it? Because that is our planetary consciousness, is the internet.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I'm sure any type of advanced civilization would develop technology on the internet, you know, but they would just use it correctly.
Yeah. Every planet's got to have their own internet, you know. It's just the web, the mycelial network of information, you know, information highways and people's minds connecting, you know, an IP address. That's kind of your place in the cosmos, you know, because you got your home and its position in the network, and maybe eventually we'll have a planetary IP address, you know, 606.
But and at the same time, what if our technology that we're using is a distortion, and there's different types of technology, you know, like. Or maybe maybe this is primitive technology and every planet passes through this phase until they realize, oh wait, there's like technology with the mind, you know, we're gonna ditch this old shit for this shit. Maybe this is scaffolding to get to that spiritual technology.
Maybe you have this concern that we are externalizing all this stuff, but like true cosmic technology is internal, like you're using reflectivity or something like that.
Yeah,
we're forcing it.
Yeah,
in a way.
Yeah.
I think the internet is just a crude reflection of really what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, like we can do it naturally. Once we make that breakthrough, it's going to be crazy. Just like, wait, I tell you this all the time. When we get our legacy labs, I want to do like 7 different magnetic spheres in a room in the shape of a Merkaba. So think of every point of the Merkaba, the top triangle and the bottom triangle. But make that in a 3-dimensional tetrahedron. Put electromagnetic spheres that you can modulate the electromagnetic frequency of each one independently, and then just start playing around with different patterns and different frequencies and see if you can create like a standing wave in the center. Imagine if you could walk into that thing and like it could interface with your biological mind, all your bioelectricity, so that if I think a thought, it can get recorded into like the magnetic matrix and get processed into a computer or something. So there's no interface. I just like walk in and like think, and then it appears in a holographic matrix. You know, it's like reflectivity kind of, you know.
I would love to get to a point where we got like a garage or a building that we could do like high voltage experiments in safely without like devastating all the computers and creating EMPs and stuff like that.
Yeah. Like if we could create an interface that could link into our actual mental electromagnetic field and process that data, that'd be insane. That'd be fucking Star Trek shit. We don't need any physical interface. You just walk into the room and think. Like, that'd be fucking sick, dude.
It's a lot of fun, too. This guy I'm following on YouTube, Old Man Builds, he's trying to recreate Alexei Chekrikov's Graviflyer, little UFO thing. But he's doing all these experiments and documenting it in videos. and he's kind of sharing his mistakes so other experimenters don't make those mistakes. One of them is that creating EMPs and ruining your computers, or being careful not to get the government on your ass because you caused radio interference or something. But another thing he ran into is he started getting headaches, and he realized he's giving himself like microwave poisoning in his head from doing little UFO experiments at getting his face right up in there. So now he's like
Nazi scientists too. When they're like fucking with the Nazi doll, they gave himself like crazy electromagnetic radiation migraines.
Interesting, yeah. So
let's just stick with low voltage circuits building. We'll build some circuits first.
Yeah, that's what me and Adam are.
I like those. I like those classes. I have a kit in my closet of a circuit board and low wires.
So does Magma and me, and we have.
I used to do that all the time.
We have our first video of it where we're doing like a little book, and it's like intro to electrical engineering. We recorded it. We just haven't edited it yet. And
we got through one video.
We're creating a grab a flyer.
Yeah, right. I almost wonder if we could do something like that, like this, as a video chat, conference call, and we each got like some breadboards. We learned the basics because, I never got any kind of formal education on it, but it's the kind of thing you can just kind of start doing and learn the hard way, trial and error. With low voltage, it's like if you burn out an LED, it doesn't even cost like 2 cents, So
but cut to 5 years later, fucking anti-grav devices in my barn.
Yeah.
Dude, that'd be sick.
It's a problem that
we need. I'd say if we all, there's some great kits out there to start, and it's basically a booklet, and it walks you through. Here's a bunch of circuits. I did a couple of these in high school. It's like here's a bunch of circuits, and it teaches you how the components operate. Because it's simple when you're just working with a binary, like plug LED in here and here. But when you get into like timers and circuits and IC microchips, it starts to get a lot to wrap your head. But as you like build it on the circuit board, as you understand, this chip is sending a pulse to here, which is allowing the LED to flash. Like there's different ways in controlling that electrical pressure system. But at the end of the day, it is just a closed pressure system, and you're forcing those electrons to go through these like patterns and repetitions using different materials that are compressed into these tiny designs.
That's a really
it's definitely worth building on.
I never thought of it that way.
That was one of the clearest mental images of the entire system I've gotten. Saying that, it's a closed
that's
pressure
really
system
cool
that you're pumping electrons into and modulating where they go to.
I realize that because
that's not natural.
When you're doing, it's not natural.
Sorry, it just seems like force, mechanical force, like as opposed to like pressure differentiation. We talk about this like in the physical reality. We think mechanical force is the way where we push rocks. But if you look down to the microscopic or atomic level, it's all pressure differentiation, or ionic charges. Like when an atom has a negative charge in its outer electron shell, it gets attracted to an atom with a positive charge in the outer electron shell, and you get movement. When you get high pressure wants to move to low pressure, you get movement just because of the differentiation of pressure or the differentiation of positive negative charges. That's what creates motion, true motion in the cosmic sense. But on our planet, we think of true motion comes from physical force, mechanical force, lighting fire, lighting rockets, pushing rocks over, using construction methods. And it seems like that's what our technology is, mechanical force, as opposed to this harmonic pressure differentiation.
Natural. But it is maybe crude. Like it's a crude way of
crude. Okay, good way to put it. Yeah.
Utilizing natural forces, and maybe there are more natural ways of doing it. I guess more just to go with the flow.
More harmonic.
Harmonic.
Yeah.
Like, can we create circuits that are like that? Like, I can't even start to begin or fathom that. But like a circuit board that's shaped in a sacred geometrical pattern. That it's more like.
Hey man, do you know what it's all about? It's the wave conjugations.
It is.
Get Terrence Howard on the line. We need those wave conjugations.
We need them.
Oh, I wanted to mention, when I said closed pressure system, I started to, after doing these different yoga and breathing practices for a couple of years now, I realized that the body as a closed pressure system, all the mudras, even if you want to explain, okay, what is doing a simple mudra like this, like while I'm meditating, what is that doing? well, it changes the blood pressure, absolutely, which is going to change certain like energy flow. It's also, it can be used as a focusing mechanism where it's like by putting your attention on keeping your fingers in a specific position, it actually keeps you awake. If you start to fall asleep, your fingers are going to lose the position.
Yep.
So it's a focal mechanism as a way to, and the goal of like, another thing I found is that like even thoughts is a sort of closed pressure system,
like
even
thoughts.
though they're your thought space, it's not really contained within your body per se. So mind isn't necessarily spatial, but there's still a pressure system where it's like you have all these thoughts arising and popping up, and a lot of your initial thought process is actually yourself narrating in the English language.
Yep.
But I found that as I'm doing this specific meditation, once I turn off my language, I start getting pictures. And now the pictures start arising. I'm like, oh, that's another form of like internal dialogue, is just the mental pictures. But then when you get rid of that and then you stay awake, it's like that's when these other like forms of reception can start to open up. Yes, scenario abstracts, and that's the gateway when it comes to like these other like bodies and over self communication and out of body experiences, all that stuff. You're developing a sense for subtle pressure systems that are primarily in the mental realm.
I've had someone explain to me before where it's like closing the circuit. You close the loop, you know, like you're creating a circuit in your body. And this is like when you do a mudra, it sort of extends it or, you know, connects it together. And I'm like, I can see that. I can kind of feel that too. Especially when I forget the name of this one, where you use your index finger and your thumb. I don't know. You know, it's the popular one that you see Andrew Tate use. But that one's very powerful. You know, you see like even Trump uses it too. I feel like these guys do it. They probably don't even know it's mudras. They just like
just do it.
Naturally probably just do it because they're connected in some other way. These powerful people. And you see Kevin Leary does this one. He puts that's a mudra as well. You put all your fingers together. So like it's not a coincidence that you have these powerful guys doing these mudras. It's gotta be something.
It's your nervous system wants to balance itself. So there's some automatic ones that you figure out.
Yeah, I saw Candace Owens was doing this, and she ended up getting heat because people were saying she was a part of the Illuminati.
Those people are stupid. They don't know anything.
Everything.
Like, I was thinking, it's a good way to.
Everything's the Illuminati to the layman. Like, oh, it must be some secrets. And like, no, dude, it's like it is secret knowledge. Yeah, technically, maybe at one time it was the Illuminati, but now you can become the Illuminati.
Yeah, right. You got more access to information.
That's what Cat Williams says. He's like, I am the Illuminati. That's what they don't know.
That's a good impression.
And that's the essence of it, though. You can become the Illuminati.
Yeah, the illuminated ones.
Yeah,
they stole that shit and made it bad. And that is that. We're gonna leave off right here. That was key 204 of the Keys of Enoch. We will pick it up on not the next episode, but the next couple episodes. So stay tuned. All of these social medias will be in the description. You want to get your Urantia swag that I'm wearing right now at cosmiccreations.biz. Until next time, I'll see you biotransducers later.